Good morning, everybody. We want to get straight to the big story this morning. That superstorm. ABC meteorologist Ginger Z is in Florida tracking what could be a once-in-a-century event. We'll get to her in just a moment.
That's right. Sandy has been downgraded to a tropical storm, but that's just temporary. This 900-mile-wide behemoth is forecast to become a hurricane again and join forces with a major winter storm. Multiple states are now issuing state of emergency alerts, and for many, today is the calm before the storm, a last chance to stock up, batten down, or just get out of town.
And that is what millions of people are doing, getting out. To give you a sense of what a mess this storm could make, it's expected to slam parts of the East Coast with a foot of rain and up to a foot of several feet of snow. It's going to last for days, bringing wind damage, power outages, and possibly massive flooding in some parts. ABC's Extreme team is covering all the angles this morning, and we're going to start, as we said, with Ginger in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning, Dan. It is still very windy here. We've had wind gusts of 50 miles per hour plus. You can see that choppy surf behind me at about 10 to 15 foot waves. There was a 31-foot wave way out at sea. Speaking of way out at sea, that's where Tropical Storm Sandy is. Yes, it was downgraded, but you can't let that fool you because it will re-intensify. And you can see the satellite picture here that gives you an idea of where the storm is, moving now north-northeast at 10 miles per hour away from Florida. Next stop is the Carolinas, and eventually that potential date with weather history. Tumultuous waves hammering Florida beaches, serious erosion, and almost 4 inches of rain along parts of the Florida coast. That's what Sandy looks like down here. But up there, from space, you can clearly see the tropical storm. Its large, stretching wind field sending tropical storm force winds over 900 miles across. As Sandy aggravates the Atlantic, its path of destruction has already left at least 43 people dead across the Caribbean. Through the weekend, the storm will hug the Carolinas before turning its eye directly toward the coast, somewhere between the mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and New England by Monday night.
This storm that is going to be impacting the mid-Atlantic and parts of the Northeast is going to be destructive, historic, and unfortunately life-threatening.
Tropical Storm Sandy is a strong storm alone, but she's about to get infused with 2 atmospheric players. Sandy's tropical fuel will meet up with a trough from the west. That basically means a whole lot of energy and cold, dry air to mix in. Then you've got this high-pressure system parked over Greenland. That creates a blocking pattern, forcing energy back toward the storm and driving it into the East Coast. The biggest concern in the coming days is the potential for 4 to 10-foot coastal surge. That is expected in vulnerable areas like D.C., New Jersey, and New York, where evacuation orders may be enforced. Even though the forecast path takes it centered right into southern New Jersey, parts of Delaware, the wind field will be huge on this, and that's why we have to check in with our Matt Gutman. He's in Nags Head, North Carolina. Matt, I'm going to give you those 50-mile-per-hour gusts today.
Thanks a lot, Ginger. And we really are starting to feel the impact of that Texas-sized storm starting to wallop here. I want to give you a sense for how frothy the water has become. It's been whipping up this foam everywhere. Now, across the mid-Atlantic, they are in full swing with preparations. They are even starting to hand out sandbags in Washington, D.C.
With the lopsided behemoth lumbering towards them, all of the mid-Atlantic states are declaring states of emergency, including Virginia.
This is still an unpredictable weather event, but one that is possibly a very dangerous weather event for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're used to having hurricanes. We're just not used to having them in late October.
In the nation's capital, linesmen were out reinforcing power lines, bracing for days-long blackouts. And nearly the entire Navy fleet in Norfolk is now under sail, 23 ships steaming out of port and harm's way. And officials are closely watching the 8 refineries in the storm's path. The hybrid storm already churning up potentially deadly surf here in North Carolina, raising red flag warnings.
It's crazy. Never seen a storm this late in the season.
Cutting short vacations and sending tourists streaming from the Outer Banks to higher ground and locals to stores to stock up on supplies.
And we are already starting to hear reports of people buying out generators, even shortages of water in some places. And because this is such a massive system moving in, the National Guard has said it is ready with 61,000 troops, guardsmen available if they are needed to be called up. Ginger.
Matt, let's get straight to that tropical storm watch and warning, Matt. This is what people need to know this morning. This is what this storm is going to do to you. From central Florida all the way up through the Carolinas, the watches and warnings for 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts are in place. That's today through tomorrow. Then the storm, the path, takes it right into the mid-Atlantic, southern New Jersey and Delaware being the heart of it. But remember, the wind field expands much beyond that. Could be felt all the way to Ohio, parts of western Pennsylvania. And the storm surge, it was mentioned once but needs to be mentioned again, 6 to 9 foot possible in those cities you see there, Atlantic City included, New York City included, Long Island as well. And then we've got that rainfall, because you've heard a lot about it. At best, locally, some places could top out at a foot or more after this is all said and done. You can see that heart of it, that's 6 to 12 inches, and then it extends back into, again, parts of the eastern Great Lakes where you get anywhere from 3, 4, or even 5 inches of rain when this is all said and done. So flooding is going to be a problem, coastal flooding one of the major issues. Oh, and there's snow. I'll have more on that coming up in just a couple of minutes, but for now we'll go back into the studio.